having honesty, accountability, sincere endeavor to serve the human being in various extent with laborious and untiring concerted efforts, Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan has been working as an advocate in the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, including versatile arena of legal and literary fields since long years with utmost satisfaction and reputation. More particularly, Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan has been writing articles on different issues, and many of his articles have already got published on DLR, daily and weekly national and international English newspapers, including in news portals. He deals with a variety of creative issues, more particularly public lectures on some particular and well-timed issues, arranging seminar and symposium in national and international arena. Mr. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan has also hands-on delivering academic lectures for the tertiary level students. He is determined to reach at his goal by dint of his honesty, laborious works, own qualifications and competency, by not putting oil on political leaders and others. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan believes in the divinely order, never chance, and he never runs after wealth. It's highly appreciable that he doesn't belong to any political view of the ongoing politics of Bangladesh. More so, no telling to say that he never receives any brief or case from the third parties except the concerned clients. Before receiving any brief or case, Mr. Bhuiyan is not used to giving false assurance to his client. He always tries to maintain a standard of his advocacy, no matter whether he gets less brief or case. He maintains his associates and juniors like his ethics and way of legal practice. He ever and anon keeps his verbal submission in English in all the courts of Bangladesh and abroad. Mr. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan has much trust to accurate knowledge on law and language. Above all, he is like a lawyer should be. Out and out, he obeys the Bangladesh Bar Council rules and order. Most importantly, Mr. Farhad is involved with English debating. As part of this, he has formed Laborious English Debating Society in 2010. And since then, he has been continuing to arrange various debating programs in English with the participation of learned lawyers of Bangladesh and abroad. It's interesting to mention that he keeps delivering lectures on legal and contemporary issues. On YouTube channel Adalat and Culture, he doesn't compromise with any kind of corruption, unethical issues, whatever the situation is. He is true to his words. Honesty, hard work, patience, study and research are only his capital, nothing more than this. Besides, Mr. Bhuiyan wears high-standing morality, and he always stands against illegal and unethical practices and deeds found in our society, country, and the world. He even decided to keep contribution throughout the world by his writings. It's worth stating that Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan deals with the constitutional law, more particularly read criminal, civil, admiralty, company, corporate, family matters, and ADA matters. In dealing with his clients, he maintains the most professionalism, not only this, he believes in client satisfaction and relief. If there is no ground as per law to win any particular case or matter, Mr. Bhuiyan doesn't receive the case, rather he truly discloses the fact to his clients. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan doesn't keep shelter, emotion in his mind. He believes in practical life and struggle. He has been fighting against the political panel-based election in the legal fraternity of Bangladesh. As part of his war against panel system, Mr. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan contested in the Bangladesh Bar Council election 2018 for the post of member in general seat as an independent candidate and got 551 valid votes from the learned advocates. Thereafter, to raise the voice against panel system, in the Bar election, Mr. Bhuiyan contested in the Bangladesh Supreme Court Bar Association election in 2019 and 2020 and got 668 valid votes in 2020 and 2021 for the first time in the highest votes in the history of Supreme Court Bar as an independent candidate of the learned advocates of the Supreme Court Bar. Actually, he wears skyrocketing confidence in bringing excellency and experience in his works. He is involved with many national and international organizations, including charitable institutions. He is obstinate to stick to gun with the philosophy he wears and believes till his death. Mr. Farhad never bows down to others for personal gain and fame. He thinks and feels that to cut a large piece of heavy glass, only a small and tiny diamond is good enough. He thinks and feels that to cut a large piece of heavy glass, only a small and tiny diamond is good enough. Indeed, Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan wants to see him as a perfect human being dedicated to mankind in future. Among his a good number of write-ups published on different national and international journals and dailies, here are some notable write-ups. First one is appointment of clinical psychologist in educational institutions, a well-timed solution for moral defalcation. Another one is glitter yourself, stop running after job. Mr. Bhuiyan wrote another article titled Education, a mirror image of life, our achievement and expectation. The next one is separation of powers in context of Bangladesh, India, UK and the USA constitutions. Apart from this, Mr. Bhuiyan has been writing a lot of critical analytical issues and articles on different newspapers and journals. He has been keeping contribution in the legal fraternity for the development of the legal fraternity. Mr. Bhuiyan has been much more devoted in filing public interest litigation in our country's apex court, Bangladesh Supreme Court. He has filed a good number of landmark public interest litigation in Bangladesh in the last couple of years. Side by side, his practices on criminal, civil, admiralty, company matter and other matters, he has put on emphasis on different issues, more particularly the public interest litigations. One of the most important public interest litigation he has moved before the Honorable High Court Division few years back is he has challenged the appointment of Attorney General, Assistant Attorney General for Bangladesh and Deputy Attorney General for Bangladesh. The way the ASGs and Deputy Attorney Generals were appointed were challenged. The Gazette notification appointing the Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and Assistant Attorney General were challenged. And after showing legal points, precedents, and the logical arguments and law points, Mr. Bhuiyan has been able to convince the court, and the Honorable Court, after hearing, passed an order, that is, issued Rule 9A to show cause under what authority so and so the respondents are holding the position of Assistant Attorney General for Bangladesh and Deputy Attorney General for Bangladesh. And side by side, the Honorable Court has also directed the respondent, Secretary of the Bangladesh Bar Council, to give a report stating that some of the Assistant Attorney Generals, whether the names and the particulars and the membership number and the date of enrollment are correct or not, with a supplementary affidavit within. Apart from this, Mr. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan has filed another historical public interest litigation to introduce E-judiciary and e-courtrooms in all courts of Bangladesh. After hearing, the court, Honorable High Court, was pleased to issue Rule 9A and pass an order of direction to introduce e-court and e-judiciary throughout the country within a specific time. Not only this, Mr. Bhuiyan has also moved a writ petition challenging the inaction of the government and the concerned respondent to appoint clinical psychologist or the counselor in all academic and educational institutions of Bangladesh. In this writ petition, Mr. Bhuiyan also got Rule 9A, and the court was very much pleased to issue Rule 9A in favor of him. And not only this, it's interesting to point out that Mr. Bhuiyan has another achievement on public interest litigation that may turn to all the learned advocates' fate in a very fair way. That is, Mr. Bhuiyan has also filed a public interest litigation challenging the inaction of the respondents and the government to establish an independent prosecution services commission or independent attorney services commission. After hearing at length and showing logical argument and after interpretation of legal issues, law points, and so on, and showing and submitting before the Honorable Court, Mr. Bhuiyan has been able enough to convince the Honorable Court to pass an order, that is, the Honorable Court being convinced with the charismatic submission of Mr. Farhad Uddin Bhuiyan. The Honorable Court issued Rule 9A to show cause as to why the respondents should not be directed to establish independent prosecution services commission and or independent attorney services commission. Thereafter, after few months, Mr. Bhuiyan also submitted and mobbed a repetition before the Honorable High Court Division. It was the inaction of the Bangladesh Bar Council and the governments why they are not taking the initiatives to wash away and root out the touts, brokers, and the persons pretending to be an advocate in Bangladesh and all legal fraternities of our country. And after hearing and after being convinced by his charismatic submissions, logical arguments, and legal interpretation, the Honorable Court was pleased enough to pass an order of Rule 9 to show cause as to why the Honorable Court was pleased enough and passed an order of direction to dispose of a representation submitted by Mr. Bhuiyan to the Secretary of Bangladesh Bar Council, and there was also a direction to dispose of this representation within a particular given time frame. Not only this, apart from this, Mr. Bhuiyan has done a good number of good, well and highly appreciable works for the betterment of the legal fraternity and the law and advocacy of Bangladesh. He has been working to root out and wash away the touts, brokers, and some other unwanted persons roaming here and there in the legal fraternity and the bar associations and court premises throughout the country. Working on this, Mr. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan organized a team of learned advocates named Tout Jalal Durniti Nimul Andolan, headed by Mr. Bhuiyan, and he is the convener of that association. They have worked very dynamically and they have tried to make the things happen, and caught red-handed a good number of touts and brokers from the court premises, and all of them were sent to the jail through the proper police. Mr. Bhuiyan has been adopted and co-opted by the Executive Committee of the Bangladesh Supreme Court Bar Association to work with their team in a subcommittee titled Tout Eviction Subcommittee in 2020 and 2021. He has put his earnest and concerted efforts to root out the touts and brokers from these premises. No telling to say that Mr. Bhuiyan was very much vocal, and he is very much vocal in his all activities. He is all the time the valiant and the brave speaker in every nook and corner of the legal fraternity to wash away the irregularities and corruptions from the legal fraternity and the court premises. Not only this, Mr. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan has tried to make the things happen, and he is all the time reluctant to mix with the wide practitioners. He always tried to make a standout, and he is hankered after fulfilling his knowledge vessel, being bookworm. He always tried to encourage the young learned advocates to be much more enthusiastic to fulfill their knowledge vessels so that they can submit always before the Honorable Court in English. It's all about Mr. Farhad Uddin Ahmed Bhuiyan.